The internet computer is once again breaking every possible resistance level on the chart, and as expected, a lot is going on in the community. These moves happened on high volume as well, which, as we established in the previous video, is probably the most important indicator of all, and this is a great sign for what's to come. Before getting started, I want to thank everyone for the enormous support for my last video, which has managed to get a staggering 7.5 thousand views in less than 48 hours. Keep in mind that my channel is still very small, but seeing that amount of views tells us one important thing. People are eager to learn more about the internet computer. There is a thirst for ICP content out there, which means that everyone in the ICP community should post as much as possible on X to get the snowball rolling. In today's video, we are going to analyze the ICP chart, and I'm going to reveal something I don't really like to see in the short term. We're also going to dissect one of the most important pieces of news in the community, which can have massive implications for the future of the internet computer. This news got a lot of people scared and uncertain about what's to come, but let me tell you that it might signal something massive for the future development of the internet computer. We're also going to talk a bit about Coinbase and how they are planning to go fully on-chain in the near future, and speculate a bit about one of their recent tweets that, if you ask me, might be a subtle reference to the internet computer. ICP made some massive moves, and as you can see, it completely shredded the top of the channel I kept yapping about during the last couple of days. My initial hope was to see the price consolidating slightly below it for a few days and then attempt to make a breakout, but it had other plans and quickly smashed through it. The price briefly touched the $9.8 level, which, as we can see, is the next important resistance we need to go through. ICP had 4 green days in a row, and even though the volume was staggeringly high, we should be prepared for some red candles in the near future. I don't think it's feasible to keep going up without some sort of controlled correction, so if you are planning to long here, especially if you're using leverage, I advise you to be cautious. One thing I don't particularly like about this chart is this daily candle with a huge wick above it. This means that sellers have the upper hand here, and by the end of the day, we ideally want to see the wick filled as much as possible. If the day closes with this enormous wick, we will definitely see a correction in my opinion. However, if we switch the regular candles to Heikin Ashi candles, the structure is still intact, so things might not be that bad in the short term. If you don't know, Heikin Ashi makes candlestick charts more readable and trends easier to analyze. One thing you don't want to see with Heikin Ashi is a double wick candle, which generally means the trend is about to reverse. But as you can see on our chart, the trend seems intact, so keep your fingers crossed. Now let's move on to one of the most important pieces of news going on in the ICP community. A few days ago, I received a message from an ICP community member who asked me what happened to Jan Camenisch and why he is no longer on the DFINITY website. For those who don't know, Jan is the CTO of DFINITY and one of the earliest members of the foundation, along with Dominic Williams. Jan is considered a rock star in the world of cryptography, and to better understand why that is the case, he has hundreds of widely cited papers and patents, and prior to joining DFINITY, he led the privacy and cryptography research team at IBM and was a member of the IBM Academy of Technology. Just a few months ago, he received a significant award for his contributions to the field of cryptography. Right after I got the message, I started digging deeper to see what happened, and I stumbled upon this message in an open chat community, which appears to be from Jan's personal open chat account. I searched for more information about Jan's apparent departure from DFINITY, but since I couldn't find any, I immediately made a post on X, hoping to get more information from other community members. Right away, I got bombarded with messages from people who accused me of spreading misinformation. There's something you need to understand about the ICP community. For the longest time, we've been bombarded with fake news about our ecosystem. Other communities laughed at us for the price action, and it seemed there was no light at the end of the tunnel. This developed an autoimmune response in most of us, so whenever something like this happens, we immediately jump to the worst conclusions possible. And that's understandable. Let's review what we currently know about Jan's departure from DFINITY and draw some conclusions. Jan was part of DFINITY from the very beginning. Dominic Williams said that ICP is his baby project, and I would argue that Jan views it in the same way. Even though Jan was never too vocal on social media, it's clear that he dedicated his most recent years to making the internet computer happen. If the news about his departure is indeed true, I absolutely don't believe he simply walked into the sunset like some people are suggesting. It's a fact that he is no longer listed on the team section of the DFINITY website. If you've been around for a while, you would know that DFINITY usually updates their website as soon as changes are made. Jan's open chat account wrote that he indeed left the foundation. There was no official public announcement announcement on social media though, but DFINITY has never ever announced departures from the foundation on social media. So with all that in mind, let's go over a plausible scenario. Keep in mind that this is pure speculation. We already discussed the plans for DFINITY 2.0 laid out by Dominic Williams. Since ICP is in a very good position from a technical standpoint, the massive research team might no longer be required in its current form. And since we established that Jan is a cryptography superstar, his powers would be wasted if he just took a backseat position. We know that DFINITY is now focused on 3 new ventures that are going to be for profit and whose purpose is to bring in massive adoption to the internet computer. I'm talking about Caffeine, Utopia, and Convo. Since Jan still keeps tweeting about ICP, it's obvious to me that he did not leave the internet computer. Perhaps he and the leadership of DFINITY decided his skills are better used if he joins or leads one of the 3 ventures which are in their infancy, rather than wasting his skills on an already mature protocol. Joe Lubin, one of the co-founders of Ethereum, at some point decided to leave the Ethereum Foundation to start Consensys, a venture that focuses on driving adoption to the Ethereum ecosystem. MetaMask was created by this venture, which is one of the main reasons Ethereum took off. Maybe Jan will pursue a similar route, which again would be extremely bullish in my opinion. Another rumor about Jan's departure from DFINITY that circulates in the ICP community is that Jan might be leaving DFINITY to go work at Coinbase. If the rumors of Coinbase going 100% on-chain are true, then ICP is the only choice, and perhaps Jan Camenisch is going to oversee the transition from Web 2 to Web 3 at Coinbase. And this takes us straight to the next piece of news, which is this post from Coinbase. The old system wasn't built for everyone. It's time for an update. If you ask me, this Coinbase tweet resembles the core message in this clip from the Internet Computer launch event back in 2021.
There is another reason for decentralization, and that reason is what's called permissionless innovation. This is really what the web had going for it like early on, and what actually TCP/IP had going for it early on, and actually even what like Twitter had going for it early on, which basically is you could build whatever you want without asking anybody for any permission. Like just to give an example, to build Mosaic, I never had to ask anybody's permission. I didn't have to go to the phone company and ask permission. I didn't have to go to the tech companies and ask for permission. Like I could just build the code, deploy it, and it just worked.
Fabio writes in a post that I have seen a few posts circulating on X that mention that ICP has partnered with Coinbase to push them on chain. However, I want to provide some clarity. This news has not been publicly announced. Yes, prior to joining DFINITY, Josh Drake worked at Coinbase. Yes, I do not see the profile of Jan Camenisch displayed on the DFINITY website anymore. Yes, Coinbase could benefit a lot because of the capabilities of ICP. However, this news has not been officially published, therefore it's all still speculation. If you go back in time, you would find a lot of connections between DFINITY and Coinbase, but maybe we will tackle that in another video. There are, however, widespread rumors that Coinbase is indeed aiming to transition on-chain, and if that is not just a buzzword to them, the internet computer is the only option. You see, not everything needs to be doom and gloom. Let's look at the positive side for once.